Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik Picadian.
Jared Brandon.
Okay.
Billy Spitfire Unlimited.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show. We are ready to have a great time. We hope you are too. We've got a fun show for you tonight.
Yes, we do.
And Billy, what do we do on this show?
We talk about gear and stuff.
Perfect. Tony, care to elaborate?
Well, in addition to gear and stuff, we like to talk about the boutique builders and the movers and the shakers.
Yeah.
And this is boutique gear, things like guitars and amps and pedals, a lot of pedals.
Yep.
Accessories.
Sounds like good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Yeah.
You should listen sometime.
Yeah. If by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're like, I wish they would do a one-on-one on this, please send that to us. You know, we've got a short list of things that we want to do one-on-ones on, but hey, we're open. We're open to ideas and such.
Yes.
Tonight's episode is called, I think, so if the title's wrong and I call it this, don't throw stones at me. But it's going to be called Guitar Heroes. Asterisks.
Asterisk.
Asterisk on the Guitar Heroes. So, without further ado, we'll get to that in a little bit. But we do want to mention that we have a fantastic way for you to get involved with our show. I'm going to mention it up front.
How is that?
It's on Patreon, and it'll help us out greatly. So consider that as you're listening, okay? We'll get to that at the end. Anyways, we need to say thanks to a handful of people.
Road.
That's right. Rode Mics for providing our audio equipment and all the good tunes that you're listening.
The accoutrement.
All the things. All the audio stuff. So thank you so much to Rode for providing that. And also, I want to say a big shout out to John Esterly.
Oh, yes, John.
Sam Jett. Chase Gullett.
Bilgola Guitars.
Yep. Gun Street Wiring. And Tony Bolonsky. And
You said Brandon Wound, right?
I was just about to. And Brandon Wound Pickups for their initial thrust of involvement for the giveaway guitar.
Yes.
It was a really, really big deal.
The raffle.
For us. The raffle. I'm never going to get that right. It is a raffle. We are going to give it away to the winner of the raffle. And I think, it kind of spawned interest to maybe do some more of these in the future. I think that would be fantastic. So
okay.
We'll have to keep our eyes and ears open on what that might be and when.
Let's do it.
Don't want to jam up, all up in one kind of thing. We'll spread it out.
This is a nice one, though.
This is a really, really nice one. So, if by chance we already gave it away by this point in time, I'm trying to figure out what. Congratulations! We will have heard the announcements and everything, but I just want to say thanks again to those guys for putting together such an awesome thing, and for Steve Keys, who set up the Discord group that kind of got facilitated a lot.
Oh, yeah,
of this too.
absolutely. So cool.
All right. Aside from that, we're going to get on with the little shoe here. And let's find out what's going on in our music worlds this week. We're going to start out with Tony Baloney Dudzik.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for my entire
That's
name.
your royal name.
Yeah, it's Sir, actually. I've been
What's
knighted.
going on, baloney?
Well, last time we got together, I talked about a special musician's friend had a stupid deal of the day on a D'Angelico Bedford HS. SH, semi-hollow. Yes. And so it came in. I am really impressed for as little as this guitar cost. It's pretty impressive. I still need to do a little more tweaking on the setup work and a little fret filing and just some leveling and stuff because it's started off life as I think they list at around $899, and you can't expect a perfect fret job, I think, at that price level, but you never know. But I'm pretty happy. But the one thing I wanted to talk about is, and I posted this on my Instagram account, is kind of a before and after. And I made a new pick guard for the guitar. big surprise. But what I did, rather than duplicating it exactly, is I added a little panache, if you will. And the issue that I have is the original guard above the pickups was straight across, flat. And this is a pretty curvy guitar. And there's kind of a contradiction there. So what I ended up doing was basically it's the same pick guard, except I arched the edge that sits over the pickups to give it just a little more curviness. So, again, this is something that is not, something that requires a ton of work, but it's just a little improvement, I think, in addition to the material improvement. I think I used a cream perloid on it. And I think it just makes the guitar look a little bit better. So, if you have a guitar that you say, I'm not really happy so much with the way it looks, shoot me an email, send me a photo and let me see, and maybe we can come up with something together. So it doesn't take a lot, Todd.
It doesn't. Billy?
My
Billy, what's your
guitar
what are you doing
adventures this week?
Whoa.
Okay.
Let me.
Were you on TV?
It's like my lawnmower; it just won't go.
Hey, hi. That's funny that you mentioned that, Jared. I was actually on TV this week playing.
Wow.
Yes, I was actually playing acoustic guitar, which is not my usual
bailiwick
mode of vibiness. I was doing a show down at the Cultural Arts Center, the Priscilla Arts Hyson Cultural Arts Center.
Nice.
In Columbus, and they had asked me to do they asked me to do art and music. They found out I was a musician.
Yeah.
They knew I was a painter, and so I presented Conversations and Coffee on Thursday that consisted of 5 original paintings and 5 original songs.
Nice.
And there was a story that tied each of those together. And it was a real cool deal. But the room was perfect for acoustic. I was planning on playing, like an old, my arch top. But the room was just perfect for acoustic. So I pulled out my old Ibanez, my 70s Ibanez Concorde, which is a copy of a Gibson Hummingbird.
Oh, that's cool.
As a backup guitar, I had my Gibson Everly Brothers like a junior jumbo or whatever they call it.
J185.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Todd.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah. So, and now this week my fingers are aching, burning and tingling, and
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah,
but I only missed a couple notes. It was pretty amazing. It's out there on let's see. Well, it would have been televised locally on channel 22.6, which is the Ohio channel, and it's out there on YouTube right now.
22.6.
22-6.
That's a channel?
That's a channel. What? Yeah, man. It's
How is that a channel?
It's
it's
old fashioned
channel.
Yeah, it's old fashioned antenna TV, man. Yeah.
That's the channel where the governor got on to talk about COVID.
Right.
Okay.
Talk about COVID. They cover all the like this week they covered the Martin Luther King event. They cover stuff going down at the State House.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, stuff like that. So anyway, I had a friend that actually was like flipping through channels, and he's like, "Hey, there's Billy. What the heck?"
That's Billy.
Yeah, man. So my Everly Brothers guitar has the tortoiseshell pick guards.
Oh, nice.
On black.
Yeah, so it's all black except for the pick guard. It's
Yeah.
tortoiseshell.
Yeah.
It looks like someone's
and
leaning
the
over,
tortoiseshell is so
showing their-
dark it looks black too. But it's a pretty spiffy guitar. And the hummingbird is the classic kind of reddish sunburst, thing. So anyway, it was fun, and it was so much preparation. It was insane.
Oh wow!
And
good. I'm
because
glad you were
because I
prepared.
did these songs that I haven't played for like 30 years, except to myself.
These are original songs?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Sitting around the campfire. So I'd never really paid attention to whether I was singing a melody or singing notes, And then I kind of did a trial run with my vocal instructor.
Did
she's
you
like,
do Africa?
"Well, you have to sing a note right there," But so it was good. It was fun.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There's a one-man acoustic show of Toto's Africa.
No, I could say it was way better than that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, probably
That's
was.
very
But it's
cool.
out there on YouTube. Look up Conversations and Coffee with Billy Spitfire.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Yep.
Jared,
Glad to hear it.
How about yourself?
Kind of a little different than usual. So when I was a kid, maybe 7 or 8, my brother and I used to watch VH1 and MTV when my parents weren't around, because we weren't allowed to watch it back then. My parents were strict about that stuff. But when we got a chance to watch it, we watched videos, and one of the videos we loved to watch was the Call Me Al, the Paul Simon song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. You Can Call Me Al. And then when I got older, I actually listened to that Graceland album, and that album to me is one of the most, I think that's probably my absolute favorite Paul Simon album out of all of Paul Simon, Simon and Garfunkel included, because he went to Africa, and he went to Africa at a very tumultuous time, and met up with some musicians, and they got grooves going and all that kind of thing. And he wrote this record, and his attitude about the album Graceland was, I can do whatever I want, because ever since, the early days of my career, I've been writing hit after hit after hit after hit. And he did, except for the very last album he did before that was actually his first flop. There were no hits. I think it was called Something in Bones album, and it was very forgettable. So he's like, you know what, I'm just going to go do what I want. And he did. And that Graceland album came out. And what that album does to me, just the different music and the instrumentation and the way the musicians, his backup musicians, and the way the band performed, the bass, the fretless bass player, they were mostly African, the folks on the record, the musicians, and they were amazing. So I absolutely love that music. So you get a little bit of African culture, music culture, in with one of the best songwriters of all time, arguably, of course. And one thing that I learned new about that album is just watching a documentary, is that the Everly Brothers were actually backup singers on the song Going to Graceland.
No
the
way.
Graceland.
No, I didn't know
That's
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Everly Brothers were.
Wow.
If
I thought that was Chevy
listen to it-
Chase.
No. If you listen
okay.
to it carefully, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that is the Everly Brothers." Because
Wow.
him and
cool.
Simon, and Simon and Garfunkel were really good friends with them, because they were their idols when they were young. So. But yeah, I haven't finished the Under African Skies, which is one of the names of the songs on that album, but I'm currently watching that documentary, so I'm going to finish that tonight after the podcast. But
I had a grudge against him for a long time.
Oh, Paul Simon?
Yeah, he married Edie Brickell. It's like totally ruined my whole teenage fantasy.
Dude, I mean, that album, it just, I don't know. The music on that album is timeless to me, to my own personal taste. So once I get a taste of that album, I obsess over it for a while, and then I shelve it and move on. But yeah, this week, that album's got me pretty tied down.
Hoa.
Listening to it all the time. Yep. Good stuff.
Well,
there's only one band member left in the original Graceland band, and it's that bass player I was talking about. It's kind of sad. They've all died. I mean, you see Paul Simon now, he's super old and really, really old.
Yeah.
But
he's super old.
So I still have a chance
really,
at Edie
really
Brickell?
Yeah. Billy, you got a
I
chance.
still have a chance with Edie Brickell.
What about...
She likes crusty old men, apparently.
Why not? What about you, Todd?
Well, I actually have kind of taken a little bit of a forced break from playing over the last, I guess, maybe like the last couple of weeks, just because I've had so much to do between Flint Effects and the guitar knobs and just sorting out other band stuff and I needed to focus on that, but I also wanted to give myself just a little bit of time, so I didn't get, and I think I mentioned this before, so I wasn't playing this, just kind of picking up where I left off. But I have been super busy because now we have in our Copper Sound flashlights for the Grand Poobahs, and I just picked up a batch of T-shirts, so we're stocked again.
Yay!
Because I've felt bad because it's like people have been like, hey, where's I'm like, it's coming, I promise. So for those who have been not too many waiting, but we are all stocked up, and that just takes a bunch of stuff to manage.
Yes.
All the show stuff and everything. So
Plus, I think taking a break.
That.
I think taking a break keeps you from getting too burned out on stuff too.
Yeah, you've been working hard, Todd.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Well,
you created this monster, bro.
Well, there's a couple of other monsters that I've birthed that I still am like, oh crap, now I gotta do this. So, anyways.
Nice.
Yeah, and then that coinciding with, like I said, the launch of the Flint Effects thing, which was, it's still happening. So it's an interesting thing. Like, I've never done this before. What do we do?
I bought him a box cutter.
You did?
Just for all those things that he's doing.
Nice.
Thank you, Billy. It's a super nice one, too. My goodness.
Yeah, you could take that on an airplane.
That's like a German one or something. you could
Swiss Army
probably
box
cut a
cutter.
hole in an airplane with that thing. All right, so that's really cool, really fun, awesome times. We need to...
I wanted to thank
Tour
Gear Design cables.
Yeah. They are awesome.
They are, I mean, and I'm being totally honest here. They are.
We always are.
And yeah, I mean, we fool around a little bit, but I'm being totally honest. I have been using these, I think, probably since we had them on the show.
That's correct.
And in fact, I've got to get another order together because I'm putting a secondary board together. Note to self. But anyhow, these cables are flat. The ends are tiny, and you
Creepy.
can. I mean, I honestly believe that you could squeeze maybe an extra pedal or two on a board if you use these.
For sure.
Instead of
pedals.
typical pancake cables. These things are really good, and they're priced, I think, very affordably. And
if you're putting together a pedal board, it is a no-brainer. You really do
Yeah.
have to check these out. And period, end of story. It's like, just do it.
Just do it. So go over to...
bulk is better.
That is right. So you go over to Tour Gear Designs and fill out a big order. When you get down to the checkout, you go down to the coupon code and you enter in the guitar knobs, all one word, all lowercase, and you're going to save an extra 10% on your entire order. And you'll get these things fast. They come out of Canada. I don't know how they get them here faster than our normal postal service, but they seem to show up within days. So that's my glowing endorsement. Tour Gear Designs. Thanks for sponsoring where we would normally have a 4 on the floor, but today it's just 4 of us yakking about our guitar heroes.
That is correct. So let's get on with that, shall we? Because I think this is a really fun topic. And, immediately when we said, let's do our guitar heroes, it's like we talked about do we have rules for this? Because this is not an untrodden upon topic.
Yes.
It has been trod
and retrod.
Maybe retrod too many times. But in the interest of not necessarily making the definitive list, this is like the ones that we believe to be the best in our set, in our mythical lineup.
I mean, everybody's going to probably be influenced a little bit differently here. And some of the names you recognize, some of the names you might not recognize. But I think the important thing here is we're just going to talk about people that affect the way that we play, people that we admire, people that we respect because of how they play. I mean, this is going to be fun.
It is, and we kind of put a couple limits on things. Whether we are adhering to that ultimately depends. But I think when we first start out, we're like, okay, if we just rail off, the givens, we all acknowledge that.
Yes.
So that was an initial parameter, but we'll see how the show goes.
Yeah, let's just see.
I was reluctant to that, but I think I can.
Let's just go in. So how are we going to do this? Are we going to do one at a time?
Let's do one at a time.
Okay.
Like Christmas gifts.
Like Christmas. Okay.
All right.
Who's first?
I'm going to say, Billy, why don't you start?
Okay. I will be glad to. Well, he's no longer living, but one of my most recent and also one of my most sustaining over the years guitar heroes, Sylvain from the New York Dolls.
New York Dolls.
Okay. The New York Dolls had 2 guitarists.
That is true.
The one that always gets mentioned is Johnny Thunders.
That is
right?
correct.
He's got the name, right? He's got that, crazy, attack and style, right? But to me, he's perfectly balanced out by Sylvain.
Yes.
And they play off of each other. And Syl is a lot, to me, he's a lot more musical.
He definitely is.
He's a lot more clever with his chord structures and creations. He's clever how he creates those chords at different spots on the guitar neck, and makes them very rhythmic and very melodic at the same time.
He's definitely
1, 2, 3.
4 on the floor.
a super versatile rhythm guitar player.
Yeah.
And
actually,
and a good lead player too. But as a songwriter, I totally agree with that. And
we're gonna have to do another one where we're just mentioning who maybe is a collective list, not a collective list, a collective list of the greatest rhythm players.
Oh, not a bad idea.
You know what I mean? Because that's not necessarily who's often seen as a quote unquote hero.
Right.
But Billy, to you and me,
right.
our lists would look very similar. I think.
When I play guitar, okay. So to kind of support this reasoning for Syl being one of my heroes is that in bands, I love 2 guitar bands, okay? And I love playing rhythm and I love playing lead. I couldn't really tell you which one I like more. Maybe it is lead playing, or maybe it is rhythm playing, but I like the interplay between guitarists, and not all guitarists can do it. And I think Sylvain is one of those just perfect players.
Yeah.
Because he can pull it off. He can throw in the riffs where, you know, Johnny's not necessarily thinking about, you know, that little piece that needs to go in there, that little snippet. So a perfect example is the song "Looking for a Kiss."
Yeah.
And throughout the whole thing, Sil is just laying down a cool line. He's throwing in little.
There is a really great
riffs.
back.
Yeah, it's just he's
painting.
He's painting. To me, it's like he's painting the landscape for everybody else to play upon. You know, he's and he's just creating such beautiful rockin' stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's great.
Yep.
And he looks nice in ladies' clothes too.
And the ladies love how he looks in clothes too. Oh my God! So I saw him live one time at a real small local venue down here called Bernie's Bagels. He was doing a one-off show with Glenn Matlock. The original bass player for Sex Pistols.
Right.
Okay, and they were both playing acoustic guitar that night. But after the show, you know, I was gonna go up and say hi to Sil. You know, I was like, well, I'm 5 feet from him. I should say something to him. I could not get closer than 5 feet to him because he's just surrounded by a mob of girls, just like loving on him. Just like, it's like, what is it with this guy? You know, but he, you know, obviously, I'm just like all the other girls out there. I love him. You know, it's like, he's just got this, you know, this little buzz of a personality.
Charisma.
Yeah.
Well, let me.
Charisma.
Can I just share a quick story? Because I took my daughter, this is probably 20, 25 years ago, to Borders Books. And Sylvain was doing a quickie tour.
Get out of here. Really?
On acoustic guitar. And he played like a 10, 12 song set at Borders Bookstore.
Wow.
And I had my daughter with me, so I bought his new album or CD that was out, and I took it up, asked if he could sign it, and he said, yeah. And he said, is this your daughter?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, it's my daughter. And, you know, I said, this is Sylvain, and this is Rachel. And he says, I just want to thank you for bringing your daughter. Not in a creepy way.
No, right.
But he was like really appreciative.
Appreciative that you were
How much for your daughter? How much for your wife?
No. He was very cool.
Yeah. He's like that. I mean, because he seems genuinely interested in sharing music with people and with generations and keeping it going. You know? That's just the way.
That's a good one, Billy. Yeah. All right, Jared, why don't you go?
Truthfully, the style that I play is because of, too easy, low-hanging fruits, which I won't talk about, but I will mention.
Just
Jimmy
go ahead and
Page
mention them.
Well, Jimmy Page and Slash.
Okay.
But just in the spirit of being a little different and not having a repetitive subject on the show, which I do respect, I'm going to say Mick Ralphs. Mick Ralphs, lead guitar player of Bad Company.
Yep.
He wasn't like a huge, what do you say, like a big solo-y type guy, but the way he played the power chords, it wasn't a normal everyday Nirvana power chord that he played. He actually worked out, and I can't really explain it verbally, so I'm sorry, but if you ever go on YouTube and listen to how he does, like, Can't Get Enough of Your Love, how that power chord and how the chord structures are played on that song, it's really intriguing. And he plays something way different than what Paul did. So you've got this, it just sounds two-dimensional instead of just maybe deciphering if there's two guitars playing or not, excuse me. It's easy to tell that there are. So just his innovative way of playing chords and yet still carrying the lead as well is something that I've always looked up to and respected. And I did see them live in 1999 when they did their tour, when they first got the original members back together. And in hindsight, man, I'm really, really glad I went to that, because since then the bass player has died, and Mick is in bad shape now. He doesn't travel much. I don't even know if he plays anymore, but yeah, Mick Ralphs, man. I mean, if you listen to the early Bad Company, you'll see why. So
nice.
Okay.
That's a good choice.
Excellent.
Thanks.
All right.
Tony.
Well, I mean, I would say one of my hugest influences would be Pete Townsend from The Who. So that's kind of that's like an obvious.
The attack with the right hand.
I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, a lot of and I consider myself more of a rhythm guitar player, and I've always been impressed with the driving sound. I mean, when you think of The Who, you had Townsend on rhythm guitar, and you had John Entwistle on lead bass.
Right.
And they kind of took turns playing rhythm and lead between just those two instruments. But there's something, just his style, the guitars that he played. I mean, he just the windmill, things like that just added
the
to
white
the
jumper
landscape.
suit.
He had a wicked right hand, man. He could attack a string like not. It was
Yeah.
How do you not break a string every time you hit the string? It's like.
Well, I mean, there's you can see his hands after some of the shows,
Just
and he
power.
literally chewed his hands up on by hitting the strings. So
He didn't care. It
No.
was just normal. It was everyday business for him.
that's true.
Awesome.
And if Keith hadn't have
so-
blown up his drum set, and
But he
Pete
did it.
could have heard.
It wasn't like he was just like smacking at it. He was like very extremely accurate. Like,
without a doubt.
It was like that pick would hit that string, and it was like it's like how a golfer hits the ball perfectly with
Accurately.
the angle of the club head. Just it's like his pick
Unless
hits that
you're me.
string, and it's just like, oh my god, how do you make that happen? It's insane.
So even on his solo work, I mean, the stuff that he does, and honestly, I think his guitar skills have improved the older that he got. I mean, you listen to some of the early Who stuff, it was a lot more thrash about, and not so much on the solo side of things. But by the time he got into the 70s and the 80s, 90s, I mean, he's become an incredibly talented guitar player and an inspiration to many people.
I love that.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And that's also one. It's like, yeah, you can get behind that, and it's not necessarily what is sort of like, I guess you could call maybe a second or third tier guitar god.
Oh no, he's top tier. There's
top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He's just not as talked about as like your Jimmy Page or
But
your.
that's what I'm
Slash.
trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So didn't say very well. When I say top tier, bottom tier, I'm saying like, okay, the first 5 that you mentioned.
Right.
That's not.
Okay.
He's not probably going
No.
to be in that, but pretty soon thereafter.
Yeah. What about you, Todd? It's your turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have mentioned many times a couple of my top ones, which I think everybody probably can say, okay, here's number 1, here's number 2, and here's number 3, and you probably all got it right.
Yes.
Okay, and I'll just mention them to just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I think maybe
We can check our answers.
3 of my most
Quickly.
influentials. Okay,
Yes.
Billy Duffy,
Yep.
Billy Zoom.
Yep.
The Oasis guy.
Noel.
No, I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
I'll just leave it there.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
All right. Surprise us with a third
Okay.
or fourth or a fifth.
When I was thinking about this list, for me, the qualifications were more like, if I'm listening, I'm like playing with them in my head. Like I know where every little nuance is. Every little bend, every like, oh, here comes a power chord. Oh, with the ones where I turn it up as we're driving, and I'll say, oh, listen to this bit, listen to this bit. And for me, one of the absolute top there is Dave Navarro.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he's a good one.
That's a good
And it's weird because
Nice.
a lot of people have, I guess as I've talked about this with other people, there's almost a pass off because it's like flashy stuff, right?
Right.
For lack of better terms. But as Billy was mentioning, he likes dual guitar bands. I tend to sit in the pocket of like single player bands. And he is able to carry songs to such heights and take them to places where you think like, I mean, a perfect example is like, going 3 days from their third album is like, it's epic. And it just keeps getting, how can you go 3 crescendos up from the first one? And he's largely, responsible for doing that as one of the 4 of the band. And I also think it must be difficult to carry so much of that guitar, because when you think about it, it's like it's constantly moving and shaping and going. They don't go like, here's a rhythm. It's so much looser than that. I think Frusciante is another person who's able to do that really well. Yeah. But I gravitated more towards the power of Navarro on that one.
Yeah, good pick.
And being able to mix
I'm all behind that.
at the time, like the LA metal and LA funk, and also like some real like deeper like soul stuff, and just a freaking flawless player, man. It's just fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
That's a good choice.
And tasty effects to go
Oh
with
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I mean,
nobody else sounds like him.
Nope.
Nobody else can
Nope.
sound like him.
It's
even
really weird,
even if you choose the same effects, you can't sound like him.
If you can
It's
pick those
so
out,
hard.
there's
Yeah.
I don't know. There's one trick on Pigs and Zen that he does that I still am like, I don't even know. I don't know how this happens, but it sounds like if you put a wah into a Leslie speaker, it's like, wow, how did this happen? And that would always like amazed me when I was listening younger, and
Nice.
and what a spectacle on stage. So, anyways,
Nice.
Dave Navarro.
I like that.
There. And these are, by the way, we've got lists in front of us, so it's not like we just said, well, these are the 3, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
It's like we're crossing people off, going, how can I cross this person off? It's not fair.
Yeah, that's true. How about you got another one for us, Jared?
Of course. So,
Well, wait.
Yeah,
well, we could go back. We can go back to
We'll
Billy.
go back to Billy.
Back to Billy.
Okay. All right. So.
Oh, Billy was first.
Yeah.
This one.
I'm sorry, Billy.
That's okay. That's really okay. That's okay.
No, Billy.
Okay, so bear with me on this one. This is a little bit of a deep dive because he's not that well known, if he's known at all. But to me, he's my hero, Mick Green from the Pirates.
Okay. That's a deep cut.
That's a deep cut. He's in the vein of players, English, British players, like along with Wilco Johnson with Dr. Feelgood, or Chris Spedding, played with like Brian Ferry,
Everybody.
some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Mick Green was one of those players who he was in a single guitar player band, okay, but he played rhythm and lead simultaneously. And he had a way of doing it kind of like Terry Kath in Chicago, but he had this it was just a percussive way of keeping the rhythm going, but then always pulling off a lick, that had some melodic flavor to it in the middle of it. And so one of my favorite songs that he appears on is "You Don't Own Me." And he's just got this cool growl going, the whole time. And again, it's kind of like how Wilco Johnson does the song "She Does It Right." So that's your homework, listeners out there.
Okay. I have to
Deep
check
dive
some-
into Mick Green with Johnny Kidd and the Pirates.
Johnny Kidd and the Pirates.
They played with Johnny Kidd was their front man for many years, and then after that, the bass player took over the lead singer role.
They're from Pittsburgh.
across the other sea. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
I get
it wasn't really. That's why you didn't get it.
That's why I didn't even climb up that mountain.
Yeah.
All right. So and then and Wilco Johnson, Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
That's both of them?
I know. Well,
Because they played together?
no, that was the homework assignment. That was
the
they were
homework
both
assign-
British players. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were well respected by like Roger Daltrey did an album with Wilco Johnson. And Mick Green was like one of Wilco Johnson's heroes.
Are you on 2 and 3?
He was assigning homework. We
I
have
was
to listen to
homework
Mick Green.
because I mentioned.
But while you're listening to Mick Green, you might as well listen to Wilco Johnson.
So,
2.5. That's all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just checking.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get this straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Now, Jared.
homework assignment.
Jared. Go ahead, Jared.
Thank you.
All right. So a guy from Akron, Ohio, Joe Walsh.
Oh.
Joe Walsh, he may not be known for, super fast, impressive technical playing. However, his riffs that he's come up with, during his solo work and with the Eagles, I've always had a deep respect for.
Yeah.
Like Life in the Fast Lane.
Yep.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he came up with that riff, and I think that was a practicing lick.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure. But if I'm wrong, forgive me. But he, if you watch him even play live in some of the old film in the Eagles, you can tell how he really enjoys playing the leads. And you could see the expression on his face where it's joy and he's happy and he's really into it. So when you watch somebody that really likes what they're doing and they sound really good at it, you have I certainly have a respect for that, especially if you like what they're playing. Joe Walsh to me is one of those guys. Life in the Fast Lane and
Life's been good.
Life's been good. I mean that song's full of old licks and stuff like that. It's great music. So yeah, he's well respected in my book. Nice. Joe Walsh.
Nice.
Tanya,
can I elaborate on Joe Walsh for a little bit?
Yeah, please.
So
please do.
Joe was originally he grew up in Columbus, literally a block up from where my shop is.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was in town, apparently, this is back about 5, 10, maybe 15 years ago. And he was trying to find the house that he grew up in. And apparently he was bopping up and down over fences and backyards and things. Finally, the owner of the house came out and says, "Can I help you?" Now you can imagine Joe Walsh, stumbling down the alley and
popping his big
driveway.
homeless
guy. And he sounds like a homeless guy.
he says, "I grew up here, man. Can I check it out?" And the guy said, kind of hesitated. He said, "No, I'm Joe Walsh. See the limo down there? That's my car." And finally, the guy kind of recognized him, and he just popped in and checked out the house and
wow.
Later that evening, another limo shows up, and the driver knocks on the door and says, "Mr. Walsh requests your presence at the show tonight. He has these front stage passes. Hop in the limo."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Steve and Lisa. Yeah. Right on. Yep.
So that's kind of a cool,
that's super cool.
down home kind of guy.
He's a down home kind of guy.
Glenn Schwartz was his hero.
Oh, really?
He was one of the James Gang early players.
Yeah.
But also a Cleveland guitar player.
Wow.
And as time goes on, Joe looks more and more like Glenn playing. So that's another homework assignment. Glenn Schwartz.
Excellent. Boy,
All
lots
right.
of homework.
Yeah. So you guys didn't guess the other Billy, but it was my three Billies. That's my show.
That's your show.
Yeah. Billy Zoom, Billy Corgan, and Billy Duffy were like
Oh, Billy
my-
Corgan.
I need
okay.
like a painting of
Yeah,
oh,
like
dude,
the
yeah, are
Corgan.
you kidding
Like
me?
the-
That guy's
the Holy
he's a
Trinity.
beast. Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Can I give my
He's good,
choice now?
Well, that was yeah.
I was
just-
elaborating on Joe Wall.
Yeah.
That's true.
okay. Yeah,
I forgot
you
about
are
that.
You
I
hurt
just
my
jumped
feelings
around. I'm so
every
sorry.
time, Todd. Every time.
I'm a just a ox. Go ahead.
This one is going to probably surprise many people. Many people at this table.
Okay.
Andy Partridge from XTC.
No, that doesn't surprise me at all. In fact, he's on my short list.
Oh,
That's true.
Really?
Oh.
I
That's
mean, in addition
fascinating.
to being probably one of the best pop song writers in the world, I watched. He has a couple of YouTube videos on. Andy teaches you to play songs, and I sat there. And in addition to using a lot of alternative tunings and things, his technique is just unbelievable. And he just explains it like, oh, well, you just do this, this, and this, and then this. And you're sitting there trying to figure out what exactly is he doing there. And I just love, the fact that he, the band XTC is probably one of my all-time favorite bands. Because in addition to Andy Partridge, you had Colin Moulding, who, in my opinion, is probably one of the best bass players out there. It's sad that they won't play together anymore, but that's just the way that it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that band, and I mean the guitar work that Andy
They were like
Partridge
the
does.
Rush of the alternative scene. In the sense that their music was heady. It was musically like pretty advanced.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
That's what I mean.
musically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
musically.
it's like Beatles on steroids.
Yeah, or like Rush for alternative. But anyways, I remember mentioning on the show quite a bit earlier. There's a song by them from Drums and Wires that is called "Complicated Game," and if you can if you have a drive, an uninterrupted drive. Listen to Complicated Game off of Drums and Wires, and you got to turn it up because the beginning is like it's real quiet, and just from a song standpoint, like I don't know how someone sets out to go, oh, I'm gonna write a song and it's gonna sound like this, because it's like it's kind of an anti-song, but the build on it is just absolutely gonzo, and the tension that he creates. That they create is really phenomenal. On top of that, I think something that they were known for, and this is where I go back to the Rush thing too, their lyrics were very, very intelligent, and sort of whatever they said, there was like a sub-meaning to everything. Mm-hmm. In Complicated Game, you should, if you listen to it, and especially if you listen to or look at the lyrics, it has real human relevance, and you're just like, dang, that these guys hit it on the head. It's pretty great. Highly recommend it.
Nice.
Okay.
Next choice.
Yes. So let me write this down. Andy Partridge. That's really cool that you dropped that you picked him. Okay. My second is I'm looking at him actually right now.
Me?
No, Tony, you know it. And Billy, you're a guitar hero of mine in a different sense. Truly, I always go to your shows. You know, I'm always there, and I'm always taking pictures, and I'm always rooting for you. But again, if I think about if I'm listening to, whether I'm consciously listening to or not, I'm like playing with them. Because I've memorized all of the little subtleties and everything. That's when I think you're like, that's my guy, right? Mm. So number 2 is Johnny Marr.
Ah, that's a good one. He was on my list actually, but I'll cross him off.
I mean, he set the tone for a lot of music in the early '80s, and I mean, he kind of created his own method of doing this and doing the music, which is like, I'm going to play the chords, but not all together. I'm going to pick all the chords out.
Yeah. And rhythmically.
Just the things that he came up with, the phrasings and the, being bold enough to create things in I guess an alt rock scene, whatever that was, you could say earlier, that in the middle of a song could go like so sweet and so soft and then so dark and then so bright, and he was all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But he put them all together. And the discography that they have is just, you can listen to it for a very long time. And the fact that he's still playing, I went and saw him when he came here a couple of years ago. I'd love for him to come back. But I really love listening to him play guitar. Johnny Marr.
That's a good choice. And as I said, he's on my list too.
We're all writing things down furiously. Let's see here. Let's go back to Billy.
Okay. All right. This is another double.
Okay.
And I'm only saying this because they do appear on one album together. And the album is Mambo Sinuendo, which is Ry Cooder and Manuel Galban. Okay. So Manuel Galban is a Cuban player, and Ry Cooder is American, but he's done a lot of different world type, arrangements and collaborations with people.
Now, was he part of the Buena Vista Social Club?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct. Yep, did that whole thing, yeah. Yeah, so just a lot of like, how can I describe it? It's simple, but it's also ethereal. Ry Cooder does a lot of things with like just a simple flat guitar strung on the top, simple bridge, real old school single coil pickups, and he just gets it to sing. Kind of like Jeff Beck can just make the strings sing.
Yeah.
Ry Cooder has just a certain feel, a touch.
Yeah.
Especially on that album. Now, some of his other stuff, maybe a little more, I don't know, a little different flavors. He does a lot of different flavors, but I guess maybe that's his strength, is just flavor. It's flavor.
Okay.
How about that?
That sounds good.
So I try to do things like that when I play guitar too. It's like throwing in some of those things that just carry the emotion of the music and not necessarily standing out and jumping in your face, but become essential to the song.
Nice.
I like your style, Billy. That's why we're friends. Jared.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go acoustic on this one. And somebody I talked about early is Paul Simon.
Bob Denver.
Gilligan! You're thinking John Denver.
No, Bob Denver.
Oh, Bob Denver.
Yeah, Gilligan was a fantastic player.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
I
I didn't know that.
No, I said Paul Simon.
Paul Simon, yes. Back to Paul Simon.
I think Gilligan played the ukulele.
Okay. Paul
Yeah.
Simon.
But you already said Paul Simon. Okay, go ahead.
No, I talked about Paul Simon in the album for my guitar. Or my the guitar thing of the week. No, Paul Simon. The reason, and I'm not going to talk about it. And when I think of him as a guitar player, I don't think of him on this album at all. His really early stuff that he came out with, really early, like 3 a.m.
Are you talking about his
Simon and Garfunkel?
Simon and Garfunkel. Okay.
Wednesday 3 a.m. Is that the album?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the really early stuff, he is a fantastic acoustic guitar player, really good, and the melodies that he plays and all that kind of thing, and his style that I've never been able to master. If you try to play like him on like just a simple song like the Boxer. It's really hard to play. Like, I can't finger pick like that. I can finger pick, right, but not proficiently to that, like this, how the song goes. So I really respect the way he plays and what he's written, just, you know, for acoustic guitar to accompany his singing.
No, I agree. I mean,
that sticks out to me.
I mean, in terms of singer-songwriters, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to, you know, keep him off of the top 5 list. I mean, he is really quite good. I mean, and you're right. What he was playing in this finger-picking style is really, you know, something to be envious of, at least for me.
And you know what's interesting, too? He plays that, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, he's got a black Yamaha that he's had for like 40 years. And it sounds so good.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to see if they sell those models, you know what I mean? Or if you can find one of those, or if it was just made for him.
You know, he played a lot of the small-bodied guilds, like the F20s and the M20s. In the early days, so he was a guild.
They looked like
guy.
full size on him.
You know how he kept those so nice for so long?
How?
Because he has multiple ones.
No, he takes really good care of the guitars. He puts Simonized wax on them. Come on, Tony.
It's Paul Simon.
This might surprise some people, but maybe not. Glenn Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, man.
I mean, Glenn Campbell, in terms of great songwriters as well as great guitar players, he, you know, was part of the original Wrecking Crew. Wrecking Crew
Yes,
were
he was.
the backing musicians for umpteen million hits, including the Beach Boys and
Tommy Tedesco.
Yeah, and Tommy Tedesco was part of that group. Carol Kay. I mean, there were some really incredible players in that group. But the thing that I found interesting about Glenn is he could not read music.
Like me.
Like you and like me.
I'm just like Glenn Campbell.
So he'd be in the Wrecking, you know, they'd be in a session and they'd put music down in front of them. And, you know, of course, these cats like Tommy Tedesco and all these, you know, they're just absorbing it. And he would say, "Can somebody just play this for me once so I know what's going on?" And then from that one time playing, he would figure out
better than all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after that, he went on to do some incredible solo work. He had a TV show back in the 70s. But I've always admired the guitar playing that he's done. And, you know, there's, was it an old Gaiatone? No, it was an old, might have been an old Ibanez there's some photos of him with it in his early days. And it's just this kind of a cheapy looking Japanese guitar, but
weird pickups on it.
But he made that thing sound incredible. So Glenn Campbell is on my list.
All right.
He played Ovation too, and
actually
when
he was
breadwinner.
Yeah, he was actually one of the first endorsees of the Ovation electric acoustics.
He would play William Tell Overture on that.
Yes.
Perform it, yeah. Back in his cocaine days, I think.
Well, personal failings
before
aside.
he got fried on the line in Wichita.
Wichita line, man.
All right. Okay. So I think
I had one more burning one.
Okay.
Since I laid out some obscure ones.
Hey, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. All right.
We can go 4.
Okay.
Can we go 4?
Yeah, if we have time, let's do it.
We got some time. Let's go 4. Top 4. All right.
Did you do your third one yet, Todd?
I'm about to do my third one.
Okay.
And in the series of singular guitar players who are carrying, okay, John Squire from Stone Roses, who is that band. If you're not familiar with the Stone Roses,
more homework.
They basically kicked off the entire, for lack of better terms, what was termed Brit rock, for whatever, say there.
Neo-Brit rock.
Yes, the second. Yes, I guess you could say in the late '80s and into the early
Canadian
90s.
Brit rock.
Right. And he's not a huge presence, but he's a quiet presence on stage, and the musicianship of the three people actually playing the music and then Ian Brown singing. Those three guys playing together was they made remarkable music, and they just absolutely ignited an entire wave of music like that. When you listen to his stuff, you're not sitting there going, "Oh, here comes the expected guitar part." He tastily worked in riffs that didn't override the song. His solos weren't just going on because, we got to fill time and here's a solo. He was really, really thoughtful and tasteful with the playing that he did. And if you took his music out of the song, you'd be like, wait, where'd the whole song go? But if you put it back in, you don't say, oh, this is a John Squire song. So I think to the point that Billy made a little bit earlier, it's like it's an indescribableness of the band's character that he's very much responsible for. And if you listen to the beginning of a song and you can hear in the first couple notes, you're like, I know exactly what this is. I know exactly what this is, because they were unique. They weren't just
I'm gonna have to re-listen to that because I haven't listened to those guys for 20 years. Who knows?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love
Good
his
choice.
playing. Yeah.
Huh. Well,
Unexpected choice.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, and
insight.
he's a Strat guy too.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to more.
Oh, yeah.
to more of that. That's good.
All right, Billy. Last final fourth.
Okay, my fourth
round.
Okay, and this one it really is probably more obvious than any of them.
Mick Mars.
I love.
Oh.
Well, I love playing the Telecaster, and one of my very first influences for playing the Tele was Pete Anderson with Dwight Yoakam. Pete Anderson. Okay. He did a lot of the arrangements and producing and musical direction for Dwight Yoakam. Was Dwight Yoakam's original guitar player through many, many years.
Yeah.
And he just has, he's got the traditional country picking sound along the lines of Buck Owens and the Buckaroos, like Don Rich and some of those guys. In fact, I actually have a Telecaster that belonged to one of the Buckaroos.
Wow.
Jerry Brightman, who was the
Don.
pedal. No, I don't have a Don Rich Tele, which that would be pretty cool. But this one was actually by Jerry Brightman, who was the pedal steel guitar player.
It was sat adjacent to.
So it
Don
never
Rich.
actually appeared with Buck. Well, it was owned by one of the Buckaroos. Anyway, Pete Anderson.
And he has at least 3 or 4 signature Reverend models.
Oh yeah, true.
Reverend guitars.
True. And I've seen him solo with a couple different, totally different acts. One was on his Telecaster, another one was on one of his hollow bodies. Yeah.
They, I think we might have seen him at one of the NAMM shows at one of the Reverend parties. Because he would usually play those with Rick Vito and a couple of the other endorsees. But he's smoking guitar.
And an amazing stage presence too.
Yeah.
Just steps right up and just rips into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. There you go.
Jared.
Yeah, you guys may laugh, but I don't care.
Oh my God.
I don't care that you just laughed. the last one is between two pickers, and I wanted to go country acoustic to go really in left field. Because when do we ever talk about country other than just Billy just now, right?
Yeah.
Hardly at all. And as far as country pickers, I'm going to choose Ricky Skaggs over Vince Gill, even though Vince Gill is one of the best guitar players in country music. Ricky Skaggs is not only a fantastic guitar player, but I think he made his way up playing the mandolin. But he, to give you an example, Country Boy, if you turn on the 83 or 84 or 85 country CMA awards, he starts off with that Country Boy song, and he just
I know which one you're talking about.
They're world class musicians in that band, and he takes that probably a pre-war Martin and just makes it his B, man. He really does. He wails all over that acoustic guitar as if it were an easy playing Ibanez metal shredder.
Yeah,
I mean, he'll hum you up real quick.
Yeah. All those bluegrass guys you have to give respect to, because they are. I mean, if you've ever seen bluegrass musicians live, they just give it their all, and they're fast, and they know their parts, and they know when to play and when to back off a little bit. It's incredible. Yes.
I like that choice.
Thank you,
Jared. That was awesome. Yeah. I love it.
Thank you,
I love
buddy.
it. Because he reminds me both those guys you mentioned, Vince Gill and Danny Gatton. I mean, but I was.
I'm glad you just said Danny Gatton.
Say Danny Gatton.
Surprised. Danny Gatton is. He's another one that's just stupid good.
All right.
He's called the Humbler. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he snuck another one in on
We
us.
just found our common ground here, Jared. Yeah. Danny Gatton. All right.
All right.
You could have a whole show about Danny Gatton. He was that good.
Yes. So this is really difficult to kind of whittle it down to a couple, but I'm going to say my final choice today will be Roy Clark.
Hey.
Oh,
And
country pick.
one of the best album covers ever. The Lightning Fingers of Roy Clark.
Oh yeah.
yep.
Oh yeah.
For swinging, dancing, and listening.
For swinging, dancing, and
Well, he was he was an entertainer as he played.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a
So,
fantastic
I
entertainer.
mean, that particular album is one of my favorite ones to just pop on every once in a while, because I'm just shocked. I mean, he's playing stuff like Les Paul would play at double speed.
Yeah.
You know, Les Paul would record stuff and then double speed it. He recorded this stuff playing that fast live. And, most people might recognize him from Hee Haw. He was the banjo player, but he was really an incredibly
I'm a grinning.
he was an incredibly good guitar player as well as a banjo player too. So I mean that
Amazing.
I just have to say,
Roy
I'm
Clark,
not a huge fan of country music all the time, but I do respect a lot of the players that are out there that are pulling that stuff off.
Absolutely, for sure.
Same
For
here,
sure.
man.
Okay. Well,
Interesting how we brought it back to country. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. We'd go one step further and go folk with Pete Seeger, but he was just a banjo picker. So
Yeah.
I can't play that.
He
okay,
played
then you can say
I'm gonna
Martin's pretty good.
I'm gonna
Steve
wrap
Martin.
this up because we can start spiraling into all kinds of things here. I had there's so many on the list here that are kind of I want to make mention, but I think if I go home and I'm like, all right, I'm going to pop something in to drive home, to really drive,
Yep.
the guy who's making the music to make that is Josh Homme, Queens of Stone Age.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
High Desert Punk.
Man, just,
He's an innovator.
Low
dude.
Desert Punk.
on the
Is it
outset-
High Desert Punk?
High
or Low
Desert.
It's High Desert. Yeah, High Desert.
Medium desert.
on the outset. Well, maybe it is Low Desert.
High Desert.
No, it's High Desert. Anyways, on the outset, you could chalk some of the stuff up if you were just kind of listening at a glance, if you will.
Yeah.
It's power chords and stuff. But the thing, he messed with a lot. He messed with a lot of different tuning.
Yeah.
And has figured out a way to keep that thing that we know and love, the driving music, that's just like got just like power and finesse. He's kind of like, there's a little bit of Elvis in him, and a lot of like power too, right? And I like that he's figured out little ways, little things to make it like you can hear a couple notes of one of the songs and you know exactly who it is. So I think it's one of those people that has influenced a lot of other players whenever they start to get their own pedals and all that stuff. And we're just like, oh, this is a pedal that makes you sound like X. Not X, the band, but X, player, right? And they're usually featured a lot. Like there's a handful of players, especially when we're talking about pedals and stuff. You can hear it and you go, that sounds like Queens of Stone Age.
And apparently PV amps.
Well, and apparently PVMs. And I think, like for my own playing, I have to balance that power and also little bits of interest, like flying around a little bit, like some of the other players I've mentioned that are other influences on me. But like at the bottom of it, man, it's got to pump. It's got to pump, and he's like the king of that in my book. So,
good one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, there are many other people that were not only on our list, but let's just
Marco
stop
Peroni, Adam and Ann.
Phil Kagi, man.
Yeah.
Phil Kagi.
Okay, all right, stop. Time out. My God.
Neil Girardo. I mean, come on,
Okay.
man.
Marty Stewart.
Yeah.
There are a
John
lot
Fogerty.
of people that were
Brad Paisley.
Okay, all right. That are at the top. They're gonna be like, what about this guy? What about this guy? What about and the super obvious ones. David Gilmour / Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, blah, blah. I was like,
right.
yes, to all those things. But beyond that, if you take that away, like who else is there? Not just in high regard, but who do we really light up when we hear? And that's kind of what we were talking about. So.
Nice.
Don't throw rocks. Don't say, I can't believe you guys didn't mention this person. This is just,
Yeah.
we got
got
a ton of people that we didn't mention.
Guitar Heroes Unite.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to do a number 2,
Yeah.
a follow-up to this. And I think even talking about,
Well, maybe it would be good to get some feedback from our listeners.
I would love to get that. So please send that to us, and we'll be happy to read off a handful of yours.
Yeah.
Top 4s, okay?
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, we just did.
Could we do
Nils
that, Todd?
Klein.
I'll make a
Wilco?
note to do it. Yeah.
Just-
Yeah, we can go on for days.
I could
That's
go on
why
for
we
a
do
day.
this show. So
I love
we'll do a
guitars. I
follow-up.
love Can I just say I love guitars?
I know,
love
man.
guitar players.
I love that you love
I love
guitars.
it.
It makes me happy.
Okay.
All right. So on to our Would You Rather.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for that game we like to call Would You Rather?
Wow, the Doppler effect.
So, in the spirit of the fantastic show that we just provided, we are going to change it up a tidbit. So, this week's Would You Rather, you need to choose which guitar out of your 4 favorite players that each of us had mentioned that we would like to have.
Oh, wow.
Which notable guitar out of that the group of 4 would you love to just have it so it's yours?
Okay, so we're going to list off our top 4. And we're going to
Pick a guitar.
Explain it. Pick it, man. Do it,
Okay,
man.
so reading backwards from my list, I had Pete Anderson. He plays
Yeah.
a Telecaster. Okay, very classily looking one. Who else did I say? Ry Cooder.
Yeah.
He also played some Telecasters and some
Cootercaster,
just all kinds of goofy things. I'm not going to pick that either. Mick Green played a Telecaster.
Yeah.
I'm getting repetitive here. I mentioned Wilco Johnson. He was a Telecaster player. And, and even Terry Kath was a Telecaster player.
Interesting.
I'm not going to say Telecaster for my winner, though. My winner is I would rather play Syl Sylvain's Gretsch White Falcon.
Nice.
Hey,
That's a good choice.
How about that?
Yes.
Just because they look cool.
Yes.
And I do love Gretsch hollow bodies.
I do too.
I love them. I've never owned a White Falcon. I will someday when I find the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Tony.
So I mentioned Pete Townsend, Andy Partridge from XTC, Glenn Campbell, and Roy Clark. I think out of all of those, I've got to go with the Townsend double neck ES 1275. That's, to me, is, from the All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes album. That look is, that was the thing that reminded me of Pete Townsend and his greatness.
I was going to say, which
I love his Rickenbackers. I love his SG specials. But
that he broke.
That double neck ES 1275 in white, which was super cool.
Yeah.
And I actually got to see that guitar. It was in for repairs at the Gibson repair department many, many years ago.
Wow. How cool
Excellent.
is that?
Yeah.
It was a mess.
That's way cool.
Literally. That's why it was there to be refurbed.
Okay.
Yeah. So I also saw a bunch of the Les Pauls that he broke in the 70s over at Lay's Guitar Repair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the collectors owned them and actually had Dan put them all back together, which is pretty cool.
Those are the ones that have the mini humbucker in the middle?
Yes. Well, no, it was the mini humbuckers as bridge and neck, and then it had a DiMarzio.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Opposite of what I said. And they had numbers on them.
Yes, they did.
Nice.
I can dig it.
And because the DiMarzios that were in there, they were all number 2. Never mind. It's a joke. Bad joke.
All right. But a joke nonetheless.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Let's see. Jared, about yourself.
So Mick Ralphs, he played Stratocasters, Telecasters, and most knowing, people know him playing the 1959 Les Paul. It was, I think, I'm going to say it was a Tobacco Burst, and it looks like it in the old films. Joe Walsh, he played old Les Pauls as well, and he also played Strats, and he played a lot of different guitars. I can't even keep up.
Yeah.
He loved Telecasters and Les Pauls. What else? He had custom made guitars for him that he would play. Paul Simon is known to play his Martins, that black Yamaha that I mentioned that he's had for over 40 years. Ricky Skaggs, he had that pre-war Martin or whatever that was. That thing looked old back in the 80s. And I'm sure all he plays are old Martin, either D35s or D28s, all Brazilian rosewood. So they're all very sought after guitars, but
What's it going to be, boy?
I know, man. I know. Either the Martin or the Les Paul. It's got to be the 59 Les Paul. I got to be a sellout and want that because that's worth the most.
Wow.
It's worth the most. And it's Mick Ralph's, and it had double creams
All right.
that Gibson put in there. Yep.
Yeah, you could always rat out and put a third pickup in the middle.
I could.
Cool. I like that.
Todd?
All right. Well, okay. So I had Dave Navarro, Johnny Marr, John Squire, and Josh on me. And I think I'd have to go. This is a tricky part because. So I'm going with Johnny Marr.
Okay.
The sound,
What'd he
the
play?
Smith sound was made with the Rickenbacker 330.
There's some debate about that.
Well,
Some of the best sounding Rickenbackers on albums are actually Telecasters.
Oh,
so okay, whatever. From his mouth, we'll go with that. From his mouth.
Yeah.
That whole thing was kind of like that was the sound that he chose to make, so it didn't sound like the typical like bluesy riffs that everybody was doing. So I don't. He's more closely associated with the Jaguar now, and even in the last 15, 20 years. Another one was the Gibson 355, 34, the Veritone.
It could have been a 345 or a 355. I think
it was just 345.
Depends on the hardware.
Yeah, it was gold hardware.
Gold hardware was a 355.
Yeah, 355. And but that isn't. It's not like what he's like super known for. So like, I think it would be interesting to have the guitar that kind of helped start it all off. At least in what he was really known for back then.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
I mean, live.
I would like to play the other ones more probably than the Rick, but it would be pretty amazing to have like.
Oh yeah.
No, that's the one. So,
okay, that's a good choice.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on Ricky Island for a little while. They're a little weird to play, but
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Cool.
All right.
I had a buddy in college that had one of those.
Yeah?
It was a great guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I haven't
Amazing.
played one myself, so I think it'd be really fun. So there we have it. We each get to walk away with one of our Guitar Heroes best known for guitars ish kind of thing.
Ish.
Most of these players had lots of different things. They, every once in a while you get one who's like, no, that's the one, But anyhow, we have some people to thank.
Yes, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a very special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer, is Todd alluded to earlier, helps make this show possible. How do you become one? You go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs and check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron of this podcast. Each level comes with some lovely thank you gifts, giveaways, prizes, all the good stuff. But as an executive producer, there's one thing more.
That's right. You get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing. So cool. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, John Helverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Jamalero, Bill Gulla Guitars, John Esterle, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Barazin, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, Andrew DeHaan, and Andrew Bell.
Yay.
Yes, Todd. But there's another special group of executive producers.
Okay.
We like to call them our grand poobahs.
That's right.
These are the top of the heap, the pick of the week, the
cream of the crop.
Start spreading the news. So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tommy Manusco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wow Pickups.
That's right.
Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Dr. Demo, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster,
Science of Sound.
Oh my God.
Brian Robison, Jonathan Jarosik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited,
Wow.
and Congregation Gear Demos. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you all so very much. Well, this has been a super fun time. Good job, Tony. Thumbs up from Billy over here.
Yes.
We would really love for you to check us out as far as supporting the show. And if you like what you hear and you want to keep on hearing more.
How do you
and
do
help
that,
us,
Todd?
Well, you go over, you do what he just said.
Patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs.
Okay. We need to go around the horn and just figure out where we can get a hold of everybody. Billy, how about yourself?
You can reach me on Facebook or Instagram, Billy Spitfire and Billy Spitfire Unlimited.
Perfect.
Nice.
And Tony.
Why don't you go over to pickguardian.com? That's a good place to start. Check out some of the things that I offer. Shoot me an email. There's a link right to the email. Check out my Instagram page. I just posted something there yesterday. I don't do a lot of that, but every once in a while, I'd like to give some ideas. So, check it out. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do. I will make it happen for you. Pickguardian.com.
Awesome. Jared?
If you want to send me a message, Instagram, jared.allen.brandon. Send me a message.
Perfecto. Okay, my turn. I get to load up right now. You can send me an email, Todd at the Guitar Knobs. You can also DM me on Instagram. We would love to hear what you have to say. Share your thoughts, your hopes, and dreams with us. And tell us what your 4 guitar heroes were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to feature that. I also want to direct you to flinteffects.com. That's all spelled out. If you own an HX Stomp or a new Eventide H90 or one of the hot tone, whatever they call it.
Ho-tones!
Ampero 2. We've got a solution for you there that's going to help you out, and it's called the Stomper. Go check it out and get one for your unit.
How's that spelled?
Stomper. STOMPER.
No, I meant the Flint part.
Oh, FLINTEFFECTS.com.
Okay.
And check my band out, The Valentinos, on Spotify. All right? Go listen to it whilst and at the same time that you're driving for some good old hard punch and rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us blather on. We had a great time. We hope you did too. Have a fantastic guitar weekend. Subscribe!
Yeah!
What are you guys writing with, you bastards? Let me see.
Baby!
Lobster children?
No, that wasn't the words.
All right, Billy, assume the position. Thank you.
You know what's actually really good? I put a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it was really good. The guitar hero, not necessarily the end-all be-all guitar hero.
He'd be a jukebox
No one's gonna
guitar
write
hero.
it on your tombstone, so
There you
it's
go.
okay if you mention someone else.
Neil
Da-da-da. I can't trust you.
Yes, I cannot be trusted.
Billy Spitfire!
It's a fight for a second. Hang on.
You can't,
I forgot.
Jared can't see you pointing.
Yeah. This is really hard.
Nobody sings, nobody quits. Come on, you monkeys. You want to live forever.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.